Rebel Moon Part 2 was just released on Netflix, and the big question is, how does it compare to Rebel Moon Part 1, The Child of Fire? To start things off, I do think The Scargiver is better than The Child of Fire, but I don't think by too much. If you're new to the channel, Rebel Moon Part 1 was by far one of our worst movies of last year. I think the only one that really competed was Napoleon for me. It was so bad. It was, but I guess a good way to gauge it in comparison to this, I didn't almost fall asleep during this one, but I also w watched it as soon as I woke up, so that could have had something to do with it. But I guess just starting off with the good, I really did like the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack in this movie was really well done, and I think the actors did a really great job. They have a really great cast. I still can't believe Zack Snyder somehow got Anthony Hopkins to voice a robot. Fantastic by him. I can't believe he was able to make that work. The action sequences were good. Zack Snyder still has his signature slow-mo, which was not as bad in this movie as it is his other movies, because in his other movies it is atrocious. Here, it's used a lot more sparingly and for a lot shorter times. Yes, it's still unnecessary and does not add anything, but it was at least good to see he's improving instead of it being terrible. It's just really bad. And unlike the last movie, part two actually had a story, which was something I really wasn't expecting. There was actually a story to this, and I did care a lot more about the characters in part two than I did in part one, and Zach did a great job with that. Albeit every single character in this film is any action trope you can think of. That's not necessarily a bad thing, just a heads up. Every character is pretty much their own little trope. I mean, we have the one out for it just for revenge. We have the killed parents, and now he just wants to die in battle. I mean, it's all things we've seen before, and that's just all this movie is. We've seen this movie time and time again. Again, not a bad thing, just a statement of fact. And if this is the sort of movie that's for you, where you have this generic war and you have this rebellion, then you may like it. But there's still also a lot of shit that went down with it too.
Griff's being kind. I hated this movie. I thought it was shit. I was bored. I couldn't wait for it to be over. I don't have too much to say. I'll be a lot quicker than Griff. I don't know what the hell. Zach either blows us out of the water or he bores the shit out of us. He bored the shit out of me with part one. Part two is no exception. Part one was extremely forgettable.
Yes.
By noon this afternoon, I won't remember what happened in this fucking movie. I was bored the entire time. The action sequences are slightly better. I'll give them that. Much better on the slow-mo. The score is good. Anthony Hopkins is always is fantastic, no matter what. He's proven to me he could be in two absolute shit movies and still rock it. Congratulations to him. But other than that, this fucking movie's dog shit. I wouldn't waste your time with it. If you give at all a rat's ass about my advice, go watch Aliens 2, go watch Predator, go watch fucking anything else other than this crap or the Sydney Sweeney movies. That's pretty much all I got to say about this movie. This movie was ass.
I don't think it was as bad as that. I do think there were some
It's
redeeming
not as
things
bad as
about
the
it.
first one. I will give you that. 100%. It still sucked ass.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did. But I set up part three, and I we really didn't need part three at all.
No, and I don't see how the director's cuts will be any better. But if they are, I'll acknowledge it and I'll tell you guys, wow, this is some of his director's cuts. I will say this, BVS, the theatrical version we got, meh.
Yeah, Watchmen,
His
really
his
good.
his his version of it though, it explains a lot more and it is a much better movie. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Zack Snyder's Justice League is fucking eons better than whatever Wheaton gave us.
yeah,
So we'll see. But as far as this movie goes,
yeah. There are a few laughable moments. I do applaud the sheer audacity of one of the main villains we really have yet to see, Balthasarius, who orchestrated an assassination and also hired a five-piece orchestra to pretty much just sit in the room while he does it and play music while he kills people. I just
Shit
think
was
that was
bad.
so dumb. But I imagine being one of those musicians in the room where you're watching the king and queen of your nation get slaughtered and you're just here playing. That's definitely one of the top 10 worst things to see in 2024 is just that one scene. And I don't get why when you have a gun, why do you run at someone? You're better at ranged. Just stay back. Don't run at them. You're not going to do any better. There's a lot of flaws with it. I mean, it's a lot of the u same usual action flaws that we typically see, but it's as Edward said, it's not a good movie. If you did like part one, you're more than likely gonna like part two. And if you guys want us to review the extended editions that will be coming onto Netflix and has been confirmed, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, we're just gonna skip it. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click this video up here. We'll see you guys next time.